welcome to the newest episode of the Digital Days Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Swick, and Dave is still busy. He's still opening up a store, so he's tearing his hair out, getting nervous about that. So I am joined this week by Josh Langford. Josh?
Hey. His hair? What hair?
I was going to go that far.
I had to do it. He's not here, so I had to do it.
He's not here to defend. We'll see if he's back next week. Again, we decided to give Dave some time off while he's getting that settled. I know that's super nerve-wracking for him right now because dates keep getting moved around. So Dave will be back maybe next week. Who knows? I don't know. But Josh, how's it going? I think it's only been this is the quickest we've had you on between appearances because you were just on 2 months ago. Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. I don't remember. But yeah, recently.
Yeah. So,
but you weren't here, so
I wasn't. I was at Disney. I was in line for Indiana Jones, and I almost called the podcast, but I realized that might fuck up whatever Dave did for recording. If I would have hopped into the call, so I was like, you know what? Let me just step aside and enjoy Indiana Jones.
So this is what it comes down to. I get one of you or the other of you. I can't get you both in a room together anymore.
It's just you're a podcast child of divorce. You have to, you get sometimes. You'll be shipped off to 360 Nation in 2 weeks, and you'll spend a weekend over there, and we'll just move you around. So
and then over to Band of Gamers.
Yeah, Band of Gamers. There's just a long trail of podcasts that you can go visit. But how's it going? It's been at least a couple months since people heard from you.
Yeah, it's good. Everything's good.
That's good to hear. I did you have a Steam Deck last time when you recorded?
Yes.
Okay, so you did.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm just curious to see.
Yeah, I got it a while back.
Okay, I'm just curious to know if that's just turned into your emulation machine. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I've been working on that. The crazy thing is, so I've had a hard drive full of games that could be put into emulators, and just never. I didn't do it on this computer. I didn't do it on the last computer. It was on the computer before them, or even one before that.
Yeah,
it's that many. So when I got all the emulation up and running, I was super excited because I had a bunch of old arcade games, crazy old arcade games that aren't on Arcade 1-Up or just don't have home versions or whatever. So I put them all in there, and Bagman, which is the crazy weird. I think it was made by these French developers. I've only seen it a handful of times. I saw it once at Midwest Gaming Classic, and it was available for sale. And I stared longingly at it and thought, okay, I buy it. How the fuck am I getting that back to New Jersey from here? Yeah. It's just not happening. So I put all them in, and I played I tried to play a couple of the other ones. None of them worked except for Bagman, and I have no idea why. So I was at least happy that Bagman worked, and I played that and got farther than I've ever gotten in that game. It's really freaking hard. Yeah, that, and I've just been playing some older Atari games and some Genesis and whatever, just whatever I can throw on there and just mess around with. Just to have it.
I just I gave shit to Dave when he bought the Ally ROG. I'm just you're just gonna play Destiny on that, and then you with the Steam Deck. I'm like, this dude's only gonna play Atari games and some old game that he can run on his phone.
No, not true.
Okay.
I mean, I've been playing other proper games on there because I have a huge Steam library. The other thing was I wanted to get the Epic interface set up so that I could, because I have all those free games from the past couple of years with that.
Same. I don't use them. I just add them to my account and just one day.
Like we all do, And my Steam library is massive, but only a small fraction of it works on there. So yeah, I've been playing other games as much as I can on these, but I'm more focused on the stuff with the kids, really,
Yeah,
which we'll get to.
yeah, we'll get to those. I'm excited to see because you put what you're playing, and there's some PSVR 2 talk, and that's definitely something that's just kind of missing from this podcast. None of us are
Yeah.
VR people, and I'm assuming that's where some of that family time's going into because I remember your kids were into VR previously.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll jump to that. Everyone, if you're listening to this, you know where to find us. So I don't feel like I need to explain on where to find the podcast. So we're just going to skip that and jump right into the news, which is pretty light because I feel like the video game industry has just been like sucked up by the FTC trial the last couple weeks. So like all the news has been coming through that. And so now that is on hold until the judge comes to a claim. We got trickle of different news that came out. The first thing is something that I didn't realize that wasn't going to work for Josh until I was talking to him. But there was a new trailer for the Twisted Metal series coming to Peacock on July 27th. For those that have been listening, I've been very skeptical about this show in terms of, do we need a Twisted Metal show at all? And also just the tone has just been kind of off. The first teaser I thought was good for all the bad reasons. It just seemed kind of silly and dumb, and I think that's the only way to do Twisted Metal. This one also gave me that silly, dumb vibe, but it looks like a better possible show. I just need to know, Josh, without looking at the trailers, do you care about a Twisted Metal TV show, like, at all?
I will absolutely watch it.
Okay.
All right. So, and to get this out of the way, because you didn't explicitly say it, but yes. I did not watch the trailer. I don't watch trailers. My knowledge of Twisted Metal TV show is Anthony Mackie is in it. That's it. That's the entire extent of my knowledge of the show. And I like it that way. I didn't even want to know he was in it.
Yeah.
That's how I am with everything. I am going to take it for what it is when I see the first episode. That's how I am with everything I do now. And it has made my media consumption so much more pleasant and so much more fun because I'm always pleasantly surprised. After the fact, I'll just kind of take a quick skim of, what people thought just to see what they're like. Is it generally positive? Is it generally negative? What is it? And then I laugh. Because I'm like, you guys all went in with some crazy expectations apparently, and I went in with nothing, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting from Twisted Metal. Is like people have weird expectations with what they expect. I always expected a stupid, silly show, and I'm hoping that's what we get. Because there's some people that just hold Twisted Metal 2 near and dear to their heart and think that there was like some like gritty story that could have been told, and I'm like, there could have been, but like if you played, like, the first one had like live action cutscenes that were pretty damn silly, like, so like the idea that people going into this were disappointed with how like, oh, it's got like a 90s movie a 90s soundtrack of like, pop songs. It's like, yes, that makes sense for this car combat thing that came from the 90s. But the cast like is pretty good. They showed more of the cast. They didn't just show Anthony Mackie in the trailer, which, because you already know what you're gonna get from Anthony Mackie. Like, I don't think I've seen him in bad movies, but he's always been likable in those bad movies. So like I expect I'm gonna enjoy that. Will Arnett being the voice of Sweet Tooth. I'm spoiling things for Josh now.
Damn you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my headphones off in a second.
Yeah. I didn't. So Josh, I'm just gonna spoil this for you. An actor. Can I?
Dude.
Okay, I won't.
All right, go ahead. Okay. No, don't. Yeah, don't.
Okay,
if you don't have to, don't. Because I don't.
There was an actor I saw in here that I was just happy to see in here, and I didn't know he was going to be in the show, and I was just like, cool. It's been a while since I've seen that actor.
See, and that's the thing. When I finally see it, I'll be like, wow, oh, cool. Look at this guy.
Yeah, and that's kind of the moments I had in the trailer of just like, oh, this person's in it. That's cool. I'm happy to see that person still doing stuff. So I won't spoil that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, look, I mean, like I loved Twisted Metal. I played the first one a little bit. It didn't really capture me. The second one is what got me. Twisted Metal 2 really roped me in. I played that with my roommates at the time. I played that alone. I just loved the crap out of that game. And then the ones that came after it, they were of varying degrees of quality. But Twisted Metal Black, I think I had fun with. There was one on the PSP.
Head On.
Head On, yeah. Which was fun for what it was. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot they could do with the PSP.
But I think you can say that about the entire Twisted Metal series. It's like they were fun for what they were.
Yeah, and I don't expect like Lord of the Rings with this, you know. It's Twisted Metal. It's goofy and it's crazy weird, and the whole concept is crazy. So yeah, I'm not expecting Shakespeare.
Yeah, no,
by any stretch of the imagination.
My favorite part of like following the Twist Metal stuff is every time there's a trailer, there's just typically angry people in comments, but there just seems to be some people that are very angry that I just want to sit down and be like, "What were you expecting from Twisted? You should be happy they're going a humorous route with Twisted Metal and not trying to do a like gritty take on Twisted Metal."
Yeah.
Especially if, like, the rumors are like, hey, there's a Twisted Metal live service game in development right now that they're hoping to pull the trigger on. You would have to make it lighthearted and, something, because, like, I don't know how you do Twisted Metal, the video game, in 2023 or 2024, whenever that comes out.
Yeah.
And make people care. So you gotta hope this show is, like, funny enough, and then that game is able to translate some of that humor into something that people are going to care about, because we saw last time they tried to bring Twisted Metal out, and what was that, 2008, 2010?
I don't remember.
It was when PSN went down, is when that game came out. And people blame that for dooming the game, and reality, the game was just not great.
It was not going to go. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, an older game like that, it has a fan base, but not, I don't think a big enough fan base that it could sustain. Putting the show out there is good. It's gonna get people interested, one way or another. But I don't know. I didn't even know it was coming out. I see now in the notes, July 27th.
Yeah, July 27th on Peacock. And I believe they said they're just dropping the whole series on day one. Which has been kind of the opposite of what Peacock has been doing. Peacock has always been about weekly episodes. I don't know if they shifted gears, but it definitely, when they said all the episodes are dropping day one.
I don't know if that signals something bad or
and it's hard to tell.
Something good.
But if they pivot, they still have time to pivot to be like, hey, it's going to be weekly or we're only dropping, because Peacock has done a thing where they sometimes drop like 3 episodes day one and then do week to week. So we'll see how they do that. And I don't know what they expect from it, just because I feel like Anthony Mackie is going to be very busy in the next couple years. So like, I wonder how this continues into like a multi-year show, or even if they have plans for that. There's a chance it could be a one and done, because it's Twisted Metal. Like, again, I don't think there's any expectations on like, oh, this needs to go for like 3-4 years. It's not like The Last of Us.
With this, when I heard they were making the show, when I heard Twisted Metal show, I was like, oh, what, like a 6-episode thing and that's it? That was my thought.
Same. I thought a movie would have made more sense, if anything. Especially if you're going to get Anthony Mackie to be in your product. I just were like, oh, it's just going to be a movie, right? Because you're not going to get him to do an entire TV show. Or sign up for multiple years. But then again, The Last of Us, they signed up Pedro Pascal to be in that show. And I thought that was impossible for them to pull that off. So, but Anthony Mackie's gonna be pretty busy with Captain America stuff for the next couple of years. So
kind of.
We'll talk more about Marvel stuff, because I'm curious about where you are with the MCU, with how things are going. Actually, let's just talk about now, since we just talked about Anthony Mackie. Because I remember you were super into the MCU. I was super into the MCU, but I don't know about you, but I've definitely seen myself decline interest a little bit, just because of the amount of content and the quality of the content for the MCU. Okay. Where are you at with the MCU?
I'm same as I was. Okay. And part of it might be because I have an 11-year-old who is watching it along with me.
Okay.
As every new thing comes out, we watch it together and then we discuss. and we figure out, well, oh my God, and how it all fits into the bigger picture and stuff like that. And this is a kid who we went through all of Star Wars. I think I told that whole
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
And then we went through all of Marvel, or whichever one came first. But I found out recently he has gone back and gone through all of them again on his own.
Oh wow, okay.
To be 11 and have time to do whatever the fuck you want.
Probably did it in a week or two. Like,
but he is completely wrapped up in Clone Wars mainly, but Bad Batch for Star Wars. Loves the Bad Batch, like you wouldn't believe, and Agents of Shield. Out of all Marvel,
okay, yeah, that's kids. Are
he
weird.
is well. He's so caught up because it had. I mean, when you watch it all the way through in one go, like it was hard watching it as it came and went and came and went, and it tied in early on, and then it just kind of went its own way by the end. But he was really like the storylines as they got to the last couple seasons, that really captured his imagination and just fired him up. And he's so upset that none of the people from Agents of Shield have even had so much as a name drop in the MCU.
There's still rumors about Quake eventually making it or whatever.
I hope so.
Because that seems like the character everyone was excited to see transition over to the movies. But yeah, I mean, there's still time because like they keep expanding the MCU, and right now they're like kind of in like a weird pivot because of legal issues with Jonathan Majors. So
really
like
sucks.
Like everything keeps getting pushed back, so there might be time for them to have to like pull the break the emergency glass of like some of those Shield characters because of everything being delayed. But yeah, I don't know, like the MCU stuff, like Ant-Man came out, I still haven't seen it. Like I was just like I just
we went and saw it 3D. Yeah, we go see it 3D. Like the Sunday it comes out. We'll go see it in the afternoon on Sunday at a 3D theater, and it's us and two other people in there. Because nobody's going on a Sunday at like 1 p.m. to see a 3D movie. No matter what it is.
Yeah.
It's great. So I think Marvel got really fucked up with the pandemic.
They did, yeah. 100%.
Because they had their timeline, they knew exactly where they were going with it, and the pandemic screwed everything up and moved things around, shuffled the order of some of the movies. They had to do rewrites on them, and that kind of fucked
Strange
things
was
up.
written before WandaVision was finished in some aspects where they didn't see WandaVision finished, so then there's like some, I don't know.
Yeah, it that fucked things up in a big way. But I mean, watching them, I've been enjoying the stories, and maybe it's because I'm also watching it through his eyes, you know. And that was a big thing with Star Wars. Like, and I don't know if I talked about this on here, but somehow he didn't know about Anakin. Spoilers. Vader. And
that's it. I'm telling you, the actor who's in the Twisted Metal.
And when we got to that, because we had gone through and the impact was so much harder on him, because going through episode 1, episode 2, and then all of the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah, you went in chronological order, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's mind blowing when you do it that way.
Oh, it's awesome. And when you see the friendship between Anakin and Obi-Wan over those years of the Clone Wars, and how tight they are and how much of a family they are and everything. And then we watched that. I told you there, I don't know if I told you, there's like a 4-hour version of Revenge of the Sith that somebody edited in the last season of Clone Wars, because it fits right in, like the events are happening simultaneously, and they edited it all seamlessly, and we watched the whole thing. It's like a 3.5 hour, whatever it is, almost 4 hours. And when Anakin turned, holy shit, he was devastated like I have never seen, and it hit me. I was like, whoa, like holy shit, this is just killing him. but it was fascinating to see. And that's how, I'm going into these movies completely spoiler free, and he's gotten to be the same way. He doesn't want, he'll still kind of sneak peeks at things when he can, but for the most part, he doesn't like spoilers either. And yeah, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I wonder, was the impact of Anakin's turn bigger than the impact you had as a kid finding out Vader is the father? I know it's hard to put in perspective, but I wonder how big of a revelation that is, like
I think
comparatively.
I think that was bigger for
Okay,
him.
because you got to
For
spend more
him.
time with that character and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, he had a lot more story with that character, a lot more backstory. For me, it was Star Wars, Empire.
yeah.
Well, Star Wars, shit holiday special, Empire.
But
That's
that
the
was so
extent of
hard to
Star
see
Wars.
the holiday special. So
Well, no, I saw it when
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah, yeah,
aired,
yeah.
and I tried so hard to go with it. I'm like, all right, just forget the shitty parts and go for the good parts of the story. So there's Life Day on Kashyyyk, and
Mm.
Chewbacca has a family. Okay, that's about the extent. That's about as
Yeah,
far as I can go. And the Boba Fett cartoon, which the animation was horrendous, but Boba Fett.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, then it was Empire. Like back then, we had nothing.
yeah.
You had 2 hours, and then about an hour and a half, and boom, Vader's his father.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much. It was an impact. It was like, holy fucking shit, what just happened here? But
But he got to spend dozens of hours with this
yeah,
character, and then also
he's
being a kid, seeing kid Anakin
yeah.
probably was like, this is my favorite character. It's never not going to be my favorite character because he's my age. And then,
No, you know what it is. So for me, it's been Ahsoka since
mm,
I saw Clone Wars. Ahsoka's by far the best Star Wars character ever, and his is Captain Rex, one of the clone troopers, who was best friends with Anakin,
mm,
as well. So yeah, he's hoping that Rex will show up in one of the shows, maybe in Ahsoka.
mm.
That's his biggest hope, and I was like, that would be pretty fucking cool if he did, because he was in Rebels. But seeing him live action again would be pretty freaking amazing. So, but yeah, I don't know where we go.
we
Oh,
we
so
were
we
talking
were
about
in
the
Marvel.
MCU. Yeah,
That's
we're
where
in
we were going.
Marvel. I'm
Yeah.
a little like, I'm getting jaded, and also what I think didn't help me with Marvel is like, so like I liked Doctor Strange when it came out,
Mhm.
Multiverse of Madness. I liked Spider-Man, Far From Home was the last
That
one.
was amazing.
I was amazing at the time, but like looking back at that stuff after seeing the last Spider-Verse movie, I'm just like,
Mm,
damn, Marvel could have done this, or Disney could have done this so much better. And then I look back at those of like as movies with missed opportunities, and it's so
mm.
hard for me to get out of that space. And then I look back at like, some of the timeline issues that they've had, in real life in terms of what you talked about, where like
Yeah.
pandemic messed them up, stuff went out of order, stuff got dragged out, and then I just get worried, and then there's like stuff out of their control, like with Chadwick Boseman, like that completely threw everything for a loop because that
Yeah.
was gonna be the Avengers leader probably, him and Tom Holland were gonna probably be running the Avengers for the next 10 years. So like when I look at the MCU now, and they make more and more announcements of stuff coming, stuff being delayed, I'm just kind of getting jaded. I'm just like, I'm just having a hard time getting excited, which is why I haven't seen Ant-Man yet, where I'm just like, like, I just don't know.
Well,
Like,
have you watched Secret Wars at all?
no, like, since I didn't see Ant-Man because I'm going to have to watch it in order everything was released, so I'm like,
Gotcha. Okay.
and that's a problem is like, I feel like I have a window where I'm going to
Yeah.
fall too far behind, and I'm just going to be like, all right, I'm done, I'm tapped out completely. And because I want to see the Marvels. Like, I want
Oh
to see
yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the Marvel movie because that trailer looked fun. So I'm just like, I kind of want to see that. So I got to catch up eventually, which means I'm going to have to subscribe to Disney Plus again and watch that stuff.
Well, yeah.
Uh,
Ant-Man's out.
yeah.
It was. I enjoyed Ant-Man. There's a character in there that I thought was hilarious. But I know, like one of the guys I work with, he texted me. He goes, "Saw Ant-Man. What the fuck?"
I know
I
which
was like,
character it
I
is.
know
It starts
exactly.
with an M. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's just the way they played it. And I was like, well, he's supposed to be hideous and he's supposed to be what he is.
It's like
I was
look
like,
at the concept or look at him in a
yes.
comic and see how they
Yeah.
would translate that in real life.
And my when I first saw him on screen, I laughed because of who
Hmm.
it was. And then I was kind of like, okay, like the effect isn't great, but I kind of lived with it. I was like, okay. And it seemed to get better as the movie went. I just kind of felt, okay, I can live with this. And this, because the character's great and it's funny and everything. I really enjoyed it. But again, I'm going in with no expectations at all.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to walk in thinking, oh, they better have this. And, oh, I want to see this battle. And these guys are going to fight. And, this character is going to show up. And then when none of that happens, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I expect nothing.
And that's the problem is like I'm hitting the point where like, I looked at what the next 10-year plan is. So then I have expectations of what I want to see. Yeah, no, and this problem is like I live on Twitter. Luckily, Elon Musk is killing Twitter, so I won't have to really worry about that. Hopefully, in a year, and I will be able to go spoiler free. But like, I look at the next 10 years, and I just start plotting away of just like, well, if they do this, they need this, and just I get stuck in my head of just like, okay, you announced the Fantastic Four movie, when is it? And
well, I got there a little bit with Civil War because I was like, well, like they don't have half the characters they need for Civil War, and they don't have this, and they don't have that, and then I was like, you know what? Once I saw the movie, I was like, all right, that was pretty awesome, and I was like, all right, I'll just whatever, I'll take it as it comes.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like they've done with some of the movies, they take the names from the comics, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the comics, and then that's fine, and then sometimes they take from the comics, and it's exactly what you would expect it to be, to where. It's hard to like when they talk about, the Secret Wars and stuff and all the stuff that they want to do. And I'm just like, well, shit, we need the Fantastic Four now. Like we need them now if we're going to do this in 2025.
Yeah.
Just like, we gotta get to where I need Dr. Doom. Like where is he? And everything gets like thrown for a loop and there's just too much stuff coming out. And I don't know how it's going to fit, how it's going to have time. Or how I'm going to have time for that stuff to where I'm just like, oh, damn, am I tapping out of the MCU after like the next Deadpool?
Don't do it. I mean, that's where it helps to have a kid. Because then you're like, well, we got to go see this. We got to, like, we're 1 or 2 episodes behind on Secret Wars. And we didn't finish Bad Batch. Because we saw the first couple episodes and we were like, let's let some build up. And we haven't gone back. He mentioned it the other night. I was like, oh, fuck, we never did finish Bad Batch. We got to do that.
Josh Langford, you heard it here. If you need to get back in MCU, have children.
Yes.
Like, if you're feeling a little jaded for the MCU, just have a kid. It might make the MCU a little better.
It'll work. You just get to watch it again for the first time through their eyes. And it's a whole different experience.
Well, I mean, it's cool about Star Wars. The fact that like 40 years later, like your kid's able to like get surprised by this thing that is like pretty open, like knowledge.
Well, that's when he was a kid watching Sesame Street. They did Cookie Wars.
Yeah.
And Cookie Monster, I think, was Darth Vader. And I forget who was Luke, and he's like, I am your father, and I'm like,
yeah. And now your kid just thinks Cookie Monster is a hack for copying Star Wars.
I don't think he doesn't even remember it. But every single time something like that would come up, and we were watching one of them. We were watching, I think, episode 1, and my wife walked through, and she's like, Anakin. Isn't he dark? I was like, shut up.
She accidentally says it. You just turn the movie off, turn the lights on. Like, no, it's ruined. It's ruined. You don't like Star Wars anymore. Let's load up Star Trek. Let's try this now.
Honestly, by the time we got there, I thought he has to know. He must have known. He must have heard it somewhere. He must have seen it somewhere. Because, as we're watching these, I'm sure he's looking up stuff about Clone Wars. He must have come across it. But when we hit that point, his reaction was so genuine and so devastated.
Your kid's gonna hate you
was
in like
amazing.
20 years, being like, Dad, just so you know, I knew the entire time, but you just looked really into it, so I just played along with it.
I'm gonna say, then why aren't you the best fucking actor in the world right now? Because you were back then.
Yeah, it's like, what happened to you?
Yeah.
We'll move on from Star Wars and Marvel. That's the thing, is like, I knew I was gonna get on tangents on this, but
That's all right.
the next story, this one's just kind of a PSA for people. So Friday the 13th is maxing out all the players ahead of the game being delisted in December. So December 31st, Friday the 13th, the game is being pulled from storefronts, both physically and digitally, because they just don't have the license anymore. It sounds like they tried to get the license, Gun Studios, but they just were told no. Like, we're not moving in this direction anymore. So because of that, they're gonna lock pretty much all the perks, all the special kill cams, and all that stuff, all the challenge skulls, and they're just maxing every player to the level cap of 150. The game is going to be dropped down to $5 in digital storefronts, with the DLC dropping to like 99 cents. They do promise that they'll try and keep the servers running for a year after the delisting, but there's no promises on whether they can make it a full year. Part of the reason why they're just dropping all of their XP stuff and just giving everything unlocked is because it'll cut down on their data costs if the game's just open and people can play it. So hey, if you ever wanted to play Friday the 13th, right now sounds like a kind of a great time, and them doing this, I'm sure, is going to bring people back into the game that, never had the chance to, especially with the game dropping to $5 on like digital stores.
Yeah.
We'll probably see people pick that up pretty frequently. Hopefully there's a nice like description added to it to let people know that the game isn't due to last too long, but I doubt that's going to happen. But yeah, no, this is something that my dumb brain is just like, I should get a physical copy of this game just to add to my collection.
Well,
there still can.
Yeah, they did make physical copies of it. This, I read that, and I hate seeing when stuff like this happens, but that's the way to go out.
Mm-hmm.
If you know you're going out and there's nothing you can do about it, opening everything up, maxing everybody out, and saying, go out and have a ball for the last couple of months till this thing the plug gets pulled because of licensing or whatever. That's the way to send a game off, I think. That's the best way to send a game off.
I mean, it's what's going to make it, they did it for the Avengers earlier this year. The Avengers game,
Did
all
they?
the cosmetics
wow.
are free, and you can just add them to your characters.
I didn't realize that.
Because September 30th is when like all support for that game is going to stop. The game will still run after that, but like they're like, we're not patching it anymore because we don't have the license. We're not going to do any maintenance. And I believe they're going to stop selling it digitally at September 30th for Avengers. So like, hey, really good time to get an Avengers. You have until September 30th. And like they put a ton of costumes into that game. So like that's another game that I wonder if, Friday the 13th looked at what Avengers did, of just like, you know what, they're just maxing everybody out. They're just releasing everything. Let's just do that. Like, you don't want to see live service games go away, but when they do, at least this is the way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let everybody have all the fun that they can with the little time they have left with it,
Yeah. So I'm in favor of this. This I think Friday the 13th might have been a PlayStation Plus game at one point, so I actually might have it digitally already. I feel like it was. So I might have to look into that to see if I already don't own it.
I'll check right now. You keep talking.
Yeah. But if they don't, I'm probably going to go dig around for a physical copy just to have it, because I've turned into the weird physical game collecting person that I always made fun of Josh for being. I'm just like, I just like having a physical box now. Like, for some reason, I just like clutter.
Well, oh yeah, it is. It was, because mine says download to console here. So
yeah, I must already have it. So like now it's like even more reason for me not to just download it and start playing it.
So the physical copy, now I'm going to put you on a mission that you're going to hate.
Mm-hmm.
The physical copy you have to get because there, there's the standard physical copy you
Yeah.
can get, but I can't remember their name, Nighthawk Studios.
Okay.
They're near me. They're like 15 minutes down the road, and I've stopped in and I haven't seen them in a long time. I don't even know if they're still around. But they did a physical copy of that with the mask as part of it was like a special edition with the mask and everything.
Okay. Might
So
have to
now,
look around.
so now you're gonna have to find that, because you don't want just a regular copy of the game. I mean, what good is that? That's just a dump disc. You might as well have the one with the mask and everything.
I know, at least to have something, especially if the game's not running anymore sometime next year. You got to have like a reason to own it.
Yeah, you got the mask.
So now I'm trying to look around just to see if it's available anywhere, but I don't see it.
No,
I'm sure it's on eBay somewhere.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely on eBay.
Yeah, I know. I was just looking just to see pictures of it, but Google is not helping me on this. But yeah, the game is still like if you buy it new is like $30 for the Game of the Year edition for it. So buy it digitally. I'll see when the fire sales start hitting on this game because it should probably already start relatively soon. Unless they didn't print that many copies, but this game was popular when it first came out, so I'm assuming there was a lot of copies out in circulation.
It was,
because if it wasn't, this game would have died like 5 years ago, but it's still been going. The only thing stopping them is the license. Which I'm trying to think, are they the ones doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game?
Ooh.
They might be, but I'm not sure, and I don't want to take too much time to find out. Because technically Ilphonic made the game, but Gun Interactive published it. Yeah, Gun Interactive's doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
Okay.
Which, oh man, like Friday the 13th, the game sounds like a fun concept, but you want to talk about... Oh, there's a new kitten, by the way, Josh.
Nice.
Don't worry, he's wearing a vest. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of those movies I saw way too young and kind of messed me up.
Yeah,
as like a 5-year-old watching that. So the idea of playing a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game kind of freaks me out, but I'll probably pick that up. Sumo Digital is doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, so they're still around. But yeah, no. So if you're ever have been interested in playing Friday the 13th, now's the time to play it. Next story, which I probably should have rearranged these stories because there was probably a really good transition. But I just completely missed that. I jumped the gun by talking about the MCU, but EA finally confirmed that the Black Panther game is real and it is coming from Cliffhanger Games. So EA has opened a new studio in Seattle with the former head of Monolith Studios, Kevin Stevenson. That is, he was head of the studio when Monolith made the Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor games. No release date was given. All we know is this is going to be a third-person single-player game. And this is the second Marvel game that EA currently has in development, because EA did announce they are doing an Iron Man game with Motive Studios, the people that did the Dead Space remake. We just talked about Avengers being like something that is going away because it failed. It was an attempt at a co-op live service game. EA, you'd think that they would kind of, want to do a live service game, but no, EA now has 2 single player Marvel games in the works. How interested are you in a Black Panther game, single player, third person action game?
Very.
Very interested. I would imagine after our MCU talk.
Well, I like the single player games, and when they do something like that, and I just sent you the Friday the 13th, so you can tell everybody what it looks like.
Okay. Open this up.
Yeah, you want it. Look at it. You want it.
No, I probably do. You should see the stupid shit I've bought recently. Yeah. The mask is pretty yellow, but I like it.
Yeah.
Ultimate Slasher Edition. What else does it come with? Clothing and costume pack, which I won't need anymore. It comes with a poster.
Yeah.
Okay. But now that the game's going away, the price is probably gonna
Yeah.
skyrocket on that.
Yeah, so single player game, like the one that made me a believer for these types of games was, believe it or not, the Captain America one that was on PS3.
That one is underrated. That is a good beat 'em up.
It is a fantastic game.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything you'd want out of a Captain America game. It was just great for the PS3 era. And yeah, it's criminally underrated.
Because it gets moved in, because like I think that was a Sega
It
game,
was, yeah.
because they did
And they
the
did
Iron Man
Thor.
game and Thor and
Well, they did Thor and they did Captain America, and I saw
Mhm.
them both at the very first Comic-Con in New York that I went to. Was that the first one? Yeah, I think that was the first one. That's why I went,
Yeah.
because Sega was like, "We're going to be there," and I was like, "Can I get a press pass for that?" And then I did, and I was like, "All right." But yeah, Thor was god awful.
Yeah,
It was.
Thor was bad. Captain America was good. Iron Man was boring, but like kind of fun. If you remember the Iron Man one Sega
I
put
don't
out.
remember the Iron Man one. I think I have it, but I don't remember if I played it or played it all that much. But yeah, the Captain America one was great. And that's the type of thing I want to see. I want to see, because they had a lot of nods to the comics. They had some really cool shit in there. And I want to see stuff like that with a new single player Iron Man game, a new single player Black Panther game. That could be all kinds of fun, like in the same vein as the Captain America one, where you're doing a lot of acrobatic moves and you've got all this, really good fight moves and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And just settings, especially on the newer consoles,
Yeah.
it could be a great game if they do it right, with a good story and just good controls. That's all they need.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as simple as that,
Yeah.
right?
The rumor is it's going to be an open world game taking place in Wakanda, which is an aspect that I really like the idea of,
Yeah,
just like sticking to Wakanda, because I don't like Spider-Man's got the city,
yeah,
tied
yeah.
up. I want to see like Wakanda, and I would love if they would get some of the politics of the different like you
Mm,
know tribes and whatever that's going on over there. The
yeah.
constant fight for power would be an interesting thing to go see. I 100% want to see this game because I want more single player games. Uh,
Yeah.
it being open world worries me that it could, get Ubisoft kind of open world, because that just seems like everyone's default thing is like, look at what Ubisoft does with open worlds. But I I don't want to have faith in EA because it's EA, but like I'm just like, hopefully they do something a little different. And like I like the idea that we're, they're doing an Iron Man game, they're doing this. We have the Amy Hennig like Captain America Black Panther game coming out. We don't know what exactly that looks like.
Weird. They're doing all these different with different studio. Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
there's another Black Panther game. It was
but it
what?
takes place during World War II, and but
Yeah,
I like that they're taking chances like that. Like Marvel just handing out the licenses here and there.
yeah,
Uh, and I hope that kind of competition, like they're looking at what the other studios are making to like kind of get guidance on what they should and shouldn't do. Like we know, game development is a secret to the public, but in the industry, people share secrets all the time. So like
yeah,
I like the idea that in like 2 or 3 years we could have like multiple Black Panther games out in the market, and I hope they don't feel like they need to tie to the MCU at all or anything like that.
yeah.
Because
No, they should be their own.
yeah, their own, like I don't care if there's 2 or 3 T'Challas out there, like in different game universes, like especially
Yeah,
the original rumors last year is it wasn't going to star T'Challa, like it was going to be you are the Black Panther sort of thing, and I hope that's not true, because like T'Challa is too important to the Black Panther character to not be him, especially if it's like create your own Black Panther. So I'm hoping those rumors aren't true, but like there's so much you can do in that universe. Like you could just pick out a time period for the Black Panther, and there's like interesting stories that you could do.
yeah,
So hopefully they don't feel like they need to mimic the MCU, because like they should look at how Spider-Man is done by Insomniac. Like it's its
yeah.
own universe, and it's the probably the best Spider-Man game ever made. I'm super excited, like for Spider-Man 2 to come out in October. Like, I don't know where you are with the Spider-Man stuff, but like, I know you didn't play it right away. I don't know if you ever got around to them.
Well, that's the thing. Like I started to play it and then didn't have a chance to continue, but Mason has played through a good chunk of it, and I'll sit and watch him every now and then and watch him go. And he's all wrapped up in, well, I got this suit and I got this suit,
Hmm.
but this one's cooler, but I like the weapons I have with this one, but he's like all wrapped up in all the different suits and what he's doing with them. But yeah, he's still trying to finish it. And I will at some point. And there's a lot of those bigger games that I need to go back and play, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But at some point I will. Because yeah, I want to get him through that. I want him to get there, and then I don't know if he's played the Miles Morales one. I think he did a little bit,
Hmm.
or I think maybe he's waiting until he finishes that. But maybe if I light a fire under him, and say, "Yo, two's coming."
Yeah, it comes out in
Soon.
October, you know. So,
Soon, you better come on, get going.
yeah.
So
But I'm excited by the idea of like the Black Panther game coming, the Iron Man game. A little less excited by that, but they're still like EA at least showed an Anthem that they could do Iron Man flying with BioWare, but they couldn't do anything else with it. So at least we know they have the technology, you know, the
yeah,
what is their engine? The Frostbite engine. At least we know that engine can do flying, you know. So
yeah.
I do like the idea that like Marvel, Disney has just kind of been spreading the licenses around as opposed to signing like exclusive deals with specific publishers. You know, in terms of like, I wish I liked Star Wars as much as other people did, because like Star Wars fans have so much content, like the different
Yeah.
games coming out from different studios. Like you got the Respawn ones, you know, you got the massive one coming from Ubisoft and all sorts of things. So I'm really hoping Disney, Marvel get that sort of spread with the Marvel license, you know, because, you know, we have Insomniac's Wolverine coming out in like 2 years. So that's going to be amazing. Like,
It's crazy.
yeah.
I forgot all about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
that's like 2 years away.
and you were talking about that last week, weren't you?
Yeah, because
Last week yeah.
I'm super excited for the idea Insomniac, because Insomniac now is my top tier PlayStation studio. So like,
Yeah.
I'm excited for their Wolverine thing, and then what else they can do. There's been rumors, I forget which company was rumored to be making a Daredevil game, but I think Daredevil would transition really well into video games.
Oh, that would be very cool.
It doesn't have to just be like the mainstream heroes. You can get into some cool stuff.
I want Charlie Cox in that.
That would be the one that I would be like okay with them like taking from the MCU or whatever, of just like, you know what, he had a good look, good acting, but just
It's
take
fantastic.
them.
He's
Take
one
that
of my
Elektra
favorite.
too. Like
Yeah.
bring her over.
He's one of my favorite Marvel actors.
Mm-hmm.
He was great. That was me. If that came across
Oh, no.
that sound. Yeah, he was great. And when he showed up in spoiler,
Yeah, spoiler.
when he showed up in some other show, I was so Mason and I. Well, Mason didn't really know who he was. I
Yeah.
had told him a little bit about him, but when I saw him, I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, no.
It's him.
And I've been a fan of him since like Boardwalk Empire, like forever ago.
Yeah,
So like I'm happy that he's still continuing to be Matt Murdock. To where
Yeah.
like, again, if you're gonna steal from the MCU to make it a video game, like I'd be fine if they like took that casting. Just like, hey, they're not gonna do anything with you movie wise outside of like, you know, the TV show coming up. Do some video game stuff. But like, I don't know, I get really excited every time these games get confirmed, because there's so many possibilities.
I realize now. So Mason did recognize him because he was in Spider-Man.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
And I had to explain that. I was like, "Oh my god, this is Daredevil!"
And he's like, "Let's watch Daredevil," and you're just like, hold on,
Yeah,
let me think back.
I told him that. I said, there's that whole series with Daredevil and a couple other characters, and I was watching them in order. And Jessica Jones the first season was tough to get through because it was relentlessly.
Oh yeah, that was
depressing.
brutal. Yeah,
And it was just but it was David Tennant, and I'm like, it's cool. It's David Tennant, but oh gosh, it's so depressing and so brutal and so horrible.
Hate David Tennant, you know, because of his character of just like, and that's impossible. How is it? How could anyone hate David Tennant? He could make me do whatever. Like,
but yeah, once I saw that, I was like, so when you're a little older, we'll get into those.
Well, it's like he could probably get through season 1 of Daredevil, and then when it gets into other shows, that it's just like, oh no, this is maybe Luke Cage. You can get through like one season of that, but like Jessica Jones, too heavy. Yeah, Daredevil season 2, too heavy.
Yeah,
Punisher, not even Punisher, on the table.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. I gotta wait until he's like 18.
yeah, you're gonna have to like be like, oh, you know what? There's only one season of Daredevil. Don't pay attention to any of these other people.
But even that, I think, would freak him out. Like some of the stuff that had, like the kid that gets the kid that he has to go save, like right off the bat. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, that was such a great time. Like that Netflix run in that era were so good, and now we just get like bastardized Witcher seasons and all right, last story. This is gonna be just real quick. AEW,
spoil the crap out of this one. You go ahead, spoil the crap out of this.
Yeah, AEW is teasing, or they finally officially like announced and teased Stadium Stampede. So this is going to be a 30-player multiplayer mode that is going to be free for AEW Fight Forever. This is based on the wrestling match that they did, quote on wrestling match, that they did in the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, where they just kind of went crazy during the pandemic because they didn't have an audience, that they just were allowed to tear up the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium.
Wow.
The dad, the father of the owner of AEW is the Jacksonville Jaguars owner, so he just let his kid just have your wrestlers fuck up the stadium. I think the coach for the Jaguars was in it too for a couple minutes. Weird times.
Wow.
Pandemic wrestling was wild. But this is basically sounds like a battle royale mode in AEW Fight Forever, which just made me miss Rumbleverse, which Rumbleverse was the wrestling battle royale that closed earlier this year or late last year. I forget exactly when. So this made me kind of miss that. And then here's the cat again. So yeah, this looks fun. AEW Fight Forever I reviewed last week. I felt like it wasn't a full $60 product. It's missing some like fine tuning and maybe some deeper modes. This could be it. Like if this turns out to be a good mode. Okay, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, based on what you were saying last week, it sounds like this could be a big help, at least, if not a little boost to it.
Yeah, especially the multiplayer offering was pretty weak, and this kind of explains why it could have been, because more effort could have been put into this 30-player mode. Though I was like thinking about it, I don't even know if the roster has 30 people, so they're gonna have to add some people to this mode.
No, you're all gonna be playing as the same 3 people.
If everyone's just Chris Jericho or so, I'm trying to think of a name that Josh might. Like,
everybody's The Rock. Everybody's Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan banned from AEW, by the way.
Banned from AEW? Oh my gosh.
Yep, for being racist. So,
what about the Sheik? Oh, the
he
Sheik's
just died.
dead.
Yeah, he just
I
died.
know.
Yeah.
Poor Sheik.
They can honorary throw him in there, you know? I'm sure
Andre the Giant. That'll throw everything off.
He's in an RPG coming up soon. WrestleQuest. It's
Andre.
like it's a wrestling Final Fantasy NES looking game.
He was just, as a real person, he was just such a cool guy.
Did you watch that HBO documentary on him?
A little bit of it, okay, yeah. But I had known, I dug into him years ago. Probably around when Princess Bride came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, Andre the Giant. And then I found out a little bit more, and I was like, wow, Andre the Giant. Good for him.
This cat is just going off.
Because it knows I'm allergic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what it is. He just wants attention right now. Okay. And now he's just biting my hand. So yeah, that is all we have for the news this week. Again, nothing crazy, but tangents have always been a thing.
Yeah.
So that's it. We'll jump into playing and watching. Josh, I'm gonna go wrangle this cat real quick if you want to hit us with some of what you're playing and watching.
Okay. So on the Switch, I've been playing Borderlands 2 still. Farther than I've ever been in that game, and I own it on like 6 different systems, I think, at this point. for the PS5, it's mostly been the stuff with the kids. Sackboy's Big Adventure. Zoe and I finished the story in the game. We actually beat the story, which was kind of cool. And I won't say what happens when the story ends because something happens. But we've been considering going back because I said, well, let's look at the trophies. And I looked at it and I was like, not unattainable. We could potentially maybe get the platinum. So
Do they know what a platinum really
yeah,
is? Okay.
they know all about all that stuff,
Okay. Or is this you being like, I could milk these kids for a platinum and get me a gift card on PSN?
No, because the moment a trophy pop, but especially when I'm playing this with her and when I'm playing Borderlands 3 with Mason, a trophy will pop for me because it's under my account.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm the main player. And if it doesn't immediately pop for them, they're like, "Where's my trophy? What was that? Why didn't I get one?" And then boom, it comes for them like a couple seconds later.
Mm-hmm.
Because they expect it at this point. So that Borderlands 3 and we started Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Mason and I, only because the past couple of weeks there were keys.
I forgot about the keys system with the
Yeah.
Borderlands games. Yeah.
Yes, it can be a pain in the ass, but especially now because I thought you did it in one and it would be there for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I realized I have to open Borderlands 2 on the Switch, enter it there, open Borderlands 3 on the PS5, enter it there. And I was like, well, we might as well start loading them up for Tiny Tina now. And then when we really get into the game, we're good to go.
Yeah.
So we played through the basically the tutorial, the
Mm-hmm.
first level. We created our characters, we played through the beginning of it. I'm not sure if it's really it is Borderlands, but it's that fantasy set that I think the only thing holding it together for me right now is Tiny Tina because she's fucking hilarious.
Okay.
She's one of my favorite characters. But the setting I'm not really big on. It's Dungeons and Dragons, set in Borderlands, essentially. But we just played that part, put in our codes, and then went back to Borderlands 3. Because Mason's gunner character, he was this close to getting the nuclear weapon.
Okay.
And we did that last night. He got his nuclear weapon and wanted to go into combat and just fire it off on everybody. And it was pretty awesome. So he's been talking about starting a second character because he's like, I wish I had done this class. And I was like, well, you could just do a second character and we could just mess around with it,
Yeah.
do whatever you want. So those are like the main PS5 games I've been playing, but VR. So VR 2.
Yeah, I need to hear about some VR2 stuff because I feel like no one's talking about it. Apparently it sold well, so people have them.
Yeah.
Just not really hearing much people talk about them.
It's awesome. It's really, really cool. The eye tracking and everything and all the stuff they do in there. It's really comfortable. I can take my glasses off and adjust everything and see totally fine, which is crazy. Because with the original one, I'd have trouble at times reading things. But this, well, it's also better resolution, so maybe that's got something to do with it.
Yeah, I had to keep for PSVR 1. I kept my glasses on just because you could.
Yeah,
because I kind of needed it with the resolution where it was and everything.
Yeah, I'd go back and forth with that. Sometimes I'd have them on, sometimes I'd take them off. But I did play a couple original PSVR games recently because I moved that over into the other room. I moved the PS4 Pro into the other room with that plugged into it. With the second iteration of it, so it's just one cord coming off of there, and it's a lot easier. And I was like, well, let me test it. So I played a couple games. I forget what games I played in there. Because I didn't think that space was big enough.
Hmm.
that it would see the move controllers and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
but it worked fine. So I was like, all right, it works. So I have this as that option out there. Um, but the other day I tried the NFL Pro Era demo, which is basically you're a quarterback
Hmm.
in VR. And I didn't know like how in depth it would be. It seems to be more in depth than I expected. But of course, it's a demo and it takes you through the whole beginning of it. And just as things start to look like, okay, now let's see what happens, they're like, okay, thanks for playing the demo. Like, dick.
So it's gonna be a full game, is what they're
It is
saying?
a full
Okay.
game. Yeah,
Okay.
it is a full game that you can buy currently. Um, and it looks like you basically, you pick your team, you stand under center, you throw the ball, you hand off the ball, stuff like that. I got sacked once, which they really should have put at least it wasn't in there that I noticed. The force feedback, like in the headset
Yeah.
and your hands.
You wanted
I
the
just
CTE feeling?
I just wanted some kind of acknowledgement that I got hit. Like I didn't even know I got hit until the ball came out of my hands weird and I kind of saw a shift in perspective and I was like, "Oh, I guess I got hit from behind there." Like I didn't really know,
Should give you blurred vision and just,
Yeah, exactly.
just do something.
But at least a little force feedback would let me know what just happened. But the visuals are great. It's very clear, very crisp. It looks really cool. I think it's too expensive.
What is it?
I don't even remember what the price is.
I'll look it up right
Um,
now.
but I looked at the price originally and I was like, yeah, no, because I expected it to be like the one that was on the original PlayStation VR, which was a very simplistic, just toss a couple balls and not much going on in it, from what I remember. This seems to be a fully fledged, you're going to play through a season and everything as
It says
your.
15.
Oh, it's 15 now?
Yeah.
Well, that's not that bad. Maybe I would buy it for 15.
At least that's what the
Um,
PlayStation Store website's saying.
okay. So yeah, if it is that cheap, then maybe I will. But Beat Saber,
Okay. Which
which
didn't come launch. It came a little after
a
during the
little
last
after.
presentation, right?
Yeah, and it is the very first time I have played Beat Saber on any platform ever.
That's crazy that you didn't at least put that on during because that was at every convention for
Yeah,
PSVR.
yeah. And for whatever reason, I was never around those when it was there.
Hmm.
Um, but it, I mean, I get it. I understand the model, but I'm a little annoyed at with buying all the music. Um, because at the same time, like it comes with a bunch of music, but it's all just
Oh,
generic synth stuff
yeah.
that if you don't know the music, it's not as fun.
Hmm.
Plus, you don't know where the beat is going and how it's changing, and you're not ready for it.
Yeah,
Whereas it
and then you see the commercials, and all the commercials are just like, "Hey, here's all these pop songs that you know and love, or all these like famous
exactly,
songs," and then you play it, and you're like, "Where are they?"
yeah, yeah. But I did buy a couple of them, and twice I've gone to the Lizzo one and gone to buy it, and then seen the price and gone, oh fuck that, because it's just too much.
Is it not a set price per song,
No,
or
well, it's cheaper to buy the full pack,
oh, okay,
and
okay,
there's
okay.
enough songs in there that I want the full pack.
What is the average cost of it? Because like I'm still buying Rock Band stuff, and it's like $2 a
Oh
song.
yeah, yeah, Rock Band stuff. I'll still buy all the
Yeah,
time.
I'm up to like
Because I'll still play
500
that.
songs like in
Yeah.
Rock Band right now.
Um, but like the pack for Liz, and I think it's different prices for different packs. The
Mm,
Lizzo pack, I think, is like 13 or $14, which I was like, come on, that's just I can't
yeah.
wait. I'll wait till that goes on sale. I love Lizzo. I'm a huge fan now all of a sudden. Because I saw her on Saturday Night Live and she was hilarious and she was just having so much fun and I found out more about her and she's just joy.
Hmm.
with joy personified, which is just awesome. And I'm like, that's what I want in my life. Um, I did download. What did I download? The Linkin Park one, the Imagine Dragons one, because I know the kids would really get into that. They like that.
I'm sorry.
I don't mind it. There's some of the songs I like. But he's got a crazy story too. Like, do you know anything about him?
No, I try not to.
Okay.
No, but you can tell me if you want.
He is the youngest of like 18 kids in a Mormon family.
Okay, that checks out somehow. Somehow that makes the music make more sense, but not like not in a
Yeah.
positive way. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking at like it seems like when you want to buy a pack, the packs vary price to price from
Yeah,
artist to artist, but the
they
individual
do.
songs are still like that 2 or 199.
199. Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely can. I mean, they got Killer Queen on this, like that. I feel
I
like that would
did. Yeah,
be
I got Queen.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I got Queen, and there's like a rock pack, which is like 80s music or 90s or
Mhm.
whatever. It's like a mix of stuff, and there's like a Nirvana song, a Foo Fighter song, um, Eye of the Tiger from Survivor. It's just a weird eclectic mix. I was like, I could get into that, so I bought that one too.
Sad part, I'm looking at this. I know all these artists, but I'm like, oh, that's a rock band. That's a rock band. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
in rock band. That's in
yep.
rock band.
So that one, it's really good on VR2, and it works really well. It's very crisp and clean and clear and really beautiful. I was playing it, and the first time I ever played it, they're watching, and I'm playing on easy mode because I tried on regular, and I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And then I started playing easy mode, because I still hadn't bought any of the packs, and I didn't know the song, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Just working extra.
Yeah. And then I bought one of the packs, like the Imagine Dragons one first, because I knew the kids would like it. And I started playing one or two of the songs, and I could hear them. I could hear Mason and Zoe, and Mason's like, "That's easy. I can do that." And I'm like, "Oh, you have no idea, kid." He's like, "No, I think I'd be able to get through that song." I was like, "Okay." So I took it off and I gave it to him, and he went in and he got through about 30 to 40 seconds of the song and just got overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I was like, see, man, it looks a lot easier than it actually is. um, so that I did buy Les Mills Body Combat, which is basically a workout thing where you're punching and kicking and doing all kinds of stuff. Good, get you really fucking sweaty.
Yeah. How's that headset handle all the sweatiness?
I put on a like a bandana.
Okay, just to help out.
Yeah. And then
Did
the
you
moment
do
the
that
headset
because you
comes
found
off.
out the hard way, or you were just like,
No,
I'm just
no,
gonna
I
do this because I know
expected it.
VR?
No,
Yeah.
I know VR. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to be like that. Because I played the old Creed games and stuff in the old VR, and I knew how sweaty it could get. So yeah. I expected that. The moment I take the thing off, I wipe everything down, make sure it's all clean, and goes right back. Cool thing is the box that it comes in, you could just wrap up the cord and everything and put the headset right back in the box and close the box up, and it's a good way to keep it from getting dusty or getting the lenses all messed up, everything. So pro tip, hold on to the box. Because you could just keep that in there and keep the controllers in their charging station. The controllers are awesome. They're really great.
Honestly, that's the main reason I'm still looking at PSVR, because that was the thing I like. I don't play my PSVR 1 because I don't want to play with Move controllers for a good chunk of the games, and I don't want to just play with a DualShock.
Yeah.
So anytime I see those controllers, I'm like, it is better. I could get it. I could do this.
It really is. And the one that I just played recently, which I mean, if you haven't played VR, this will sell it for you. Walkabout Mini Golf.
And looked at this. There's like expansions.
I bought everything.
Yeah, this
and
like
it's
a Josh
amazing.
Game.
It's amazing. It is like you're actually playing miniature golf. And the cool thing is, like, you get in there It's a bunch of fantasy miniature golf courses. You can do multiplayer up to 6 players. So you're all in there and you can do voice chat and you can all just work your way around the course. And I think it's it'll cross play to the other ones that have it, whatever else has it. But the cool thing is when I got in, I'm trying to learn the controls, and it took me a good, like I did a practice round on the first course just to get used to it. It took me that full first round to fully get used to all the different buttons and switches and everything for moving around and stuff like that. But once you get it, the cool thing is it'll let you play with one controller.
Okay.
So you go in with two, and I'm like, how are you gonna hold your hands together like you're swinging a golf club? Because those things will clank into each other. It's not gonna it's gonna be all fucking weird. But you get in and it says, hold down the PlayStation button for like 10 seconds and it'll turn it off completely. And then you've got the other one, you've got the one in your right hand, or you pick left or right hand, whichever one whichever way you're going to swing. And that's the one you use. And then you can just put your other hand above it, like you're actually holding a golf club. The really cool thing with it is, no matter where you stand, no matter, how far down you put your arms, you can lift your arms up, moving your arms up and down when you're trying to line up the club. The head of the club stays right at ground level.
Okay.
The length of the club goes longer and shortens depending on where you're moving your arms. You know what I mean? So that no matter what you're doing, the club itself is always like the club doesn't disappear underground because it's a set length.
Yeah, it adjusts on the fly based on how you're holding.
Yeah,
that's a good beautiful. Like feature to have. Less annoying. It could be like really annoying if it didn't do that.
It feels like, and I don't know if this is like a second version of this game or this is their first shot at it, but it feels like they did a lot of really thoughtful stuff in making the game. Because it really feels like a miniature golf course, as crazy as some of the holes get. Really well designed, really well thought out. Everything about it. There's hidden balls on every hole. And if you find them, they all come in at the very end. They all come into this tray and you can use any one of them at any time. You finish one course, it unlocks hard mode on the course, which is a night mode. It's in the dark at night, and there's, torches or whatever so you can see. And the holes change. They get harder. So it's similar. It's the same layout, but then this hole is longer. This hole where there were sort of guardrails, they're gone. It's really cool. They put a lot of thought into the game, and I've only played 3 courses, and I've got there's like 18 or 20 courses. I'm like, this is insane. I could play this for hours and hours and hours on end. It's one of the best games I've played on there. So, but I'm excited for some of the other, games coming down the line. I'm excited to see what they can do with it based on what they did with, the first one, with regular VR and the games that came to it eventually. I have Horizon. I have not played it because I still haven't played the other games. I don't want to jump right into this. I want to play the other games first. But I'm really excited to see that in VR. I don't know. I'm a fan, so I say get it.
I want to jump into it for sure. The thing in the back of my head is, I don't know. PlayStation doesn't seem as excited about this one as they were the first one, and that's just probably me just overthinking it. Of just like, well, the people in charge right now weren't really the ones pushing this sort of thing. to where I'm more looking at Oculus now of like, if I'm going to do a VR headset, do I just jump into the Oculus just so I can have that like PC stuff? Though I know people have figured out how to get PSVR 2 working on PC. It's just a pain in the ass if you want to make that work. But like, I do like the controls. And then just from my experience with, you know, the original Oculus and like, you know, PSVR, it's like PlayStation has the most comfortable headset. Like they've figured out how to have the best like comfort levels for that headset. So it's on my list. You know, I just didn't play the first PSVR as much, but that was mostly because of, you know, all the wires, the setup, the breakout box, all of that stuff just being super annoying to like do, you know, pack it back in the box, because I keep the original box as well, and I didn't want to buy a fancy stand for my PSVR, so I would just pack it in its original box like every time, and it just wasn't really meant to be done that way. Like I had my apartment flooded like about a week ago, and I kept my PSVR 2 or my PSVR box on the floor in my office. Luckily, I saved it because it was one of the first things I remembered as everything was flooding. So luckily I like grabbed that and it's fine. The box got maybe just a little bit of water on the sides, but the actual headset itself is fine. But it made me remember like, oh shit, I have a PSVR. Like,
so when we're done here, I'll take a picture. Because what I did in that room, there's not a whole lot of room to set up like the PlayStation itself and the VR and all this stuff. And I sat there and I'm staring at the wall and I'm staring at the TV and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. It's a brick wall. And it dawned on me, I'm like, wait a minute, I can use those command strips and I can just mount everything to the brick wall under the TV.
Yeah.
Let's do this. I literally did that. The PlayStation 4 Pro is just stuck to the wall with
How many command strips? Because like,
well, it's 2 for each one. You know, you got one on the PlayStation and one on the wall, and they grip together. So those, it's 1, 2, 3, 5 pairs.
Okay.
But the ones I have, they're like each pair holds up to like 9 pounds. And I looked up the weight of the PS4 Pro, and it's like 7 or 8 pounds. And I was like, fuck it. I did 5. I'm like, that thing's never coming off that wall.
Because there's companies that do make the wall mounting stuff for like the consoles and controllers. And I have looked at that stuff.
I use that all over the place. Yeah, but this is a brick wall and I'm not drilling into that. I did it once to get the TV up there and I'm never doing that again. It was a fucking nightmare.
No, I know. I just had to get Comcast to drill a hole into the brick wall to get the line through, and that was just like painful to watch. Yeah.
So that I'll show it to you though, because the Pro is there, the little external hard drive is mounted on the wall next to it. Like everything at the breakout box, all the wires go in hidden tubes up to where the TV is, and all I have to do is pick up the headset, plug it into the breakout box, and I'm good to go. Like there's no taking stuff out. There's no putting stuff away. I've made it so easy that I'm like, well, now I'm actually going to use this a lot more.
Yeah. Once we get a new place, I probably will hook up the PSVR system again and just put it in a different room with my PS4. Do I still have my Pro, or did I give that away? It'll go in wherever I have my PS4. I know I have a PS4 somewhere in this apartment. I might have 2. I don't really know. I have my stuff just in like boxes and like waterproof crates and stuff. Luckily. Like I have like consoles a little bit everywhere right now. So definitely have plans of just like displaying stuff and getting stuff out. But I've been looking at like wall mounted stuff just because like I already make sure nothing's ever touching the ground outside of like boxes. I never have to worry about that stuff. Like when we moved here, I made sure everything was like at a reasonable level. Like my desktop is like on a elevated part of the floor, like where it's like on top of a stand that's like 2 feet off the ground. So like I probably would go into the wall mounting stuff once we move. But I never thought I just don't know if I'm brave enough to just command strip a PlayStation to a wall. I think I would have to drill into the wall. I understand why you didn't do that because brick wall, but like, man, that's a lot of faith. Because I've had like picture frames fall for no reason because humidity was weird.
So, and that's the thing. Like, I wasn't sure about these, but I used them to mount these IKEA shoe things, Trones, if anybody knows what those are. They're like bins. They're thin, and you open it up and you can fit 2 pairs of shoes in them. And I was going to drill those into the wall. I had done it upstairs, and I was going to do it down here, and I forgot that this wall down here, it's drywall, and then there's like half an inch barely right to the cinder block. So I tried to drill the screws in, and I hit the cinder block, and I'm like, oh fuck. It's like, I can't do this. And then I realized, I've got those command strips, and I put them up, and they worked. And I looked online as I was sitting there staring at the PS4, and I looked to see if anybody had done this and anybody had written about it. And somebody did it with their PS4, I think they're Pro. And they said, it's up. And everybody was like, oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. And he said, I'll check back in a year. And a year later, somebody wrote, so how's the PS4? And he's like, still holding. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And that was like 2 years ago.
I mean, as long as you keep that PS4 clean, I guess, because like I just imagine the heat from that, because those things heat up, like that'd be enough to mess with the glue. But you know what? I hope yours does well.
It's not that far off the floor. It's maybe a foot off the floor. No. There's no TV stand. It's a foot off the floor. It's underneath. Okay. So the TV is on a wall mount, and then below that is like an IKEA shelf thing that has two drawers in it. Yeah. And it's under all of that.
Okay. So it's not.
So it's down by the floor.
Okay, yeah, it would be fine. if it's decided.
And even if it fell, I have another PS4 Pro somewhere in the house.
And even then, most
down
likely
here in the basement.
Yeah, most likely, if it were to start to fail, not all 5 stickers would fail.
Yeah.
Like one you would notice, and then just replaces.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're fine.
It'll hold, and if it doesn't, it doesn't.
And you're probably not using that as frequent as you're using your other stuff.
Not nearly. No.
I'd mount a PS3. I have a slim PS3. I'd mount that.
I used wall mounts, and I kind of want to take them off because they're ugly. There's no way to do that elegantly because of the shape of the PS3.
Depending on which one you have, like I feel like you could do that with the second slim.
No, this is the first slim. No, the second slim was the George Foreman one. You need to be able to slide open that.
That was the third one.
Disc. That was the third one?
The third one was the second one.
What the fuck was this? What am I thinking of? That's the one I have.
Okay, I have a PS3 I just pulled out of nowhere because this is where I am in life.
That's the one I have. Here, wait. Look, I'll show you.
Now he is now pointing to his console.
Wait. Can you see that?
I can see it's a little blur, but
see how?
Yeah, that's the second one. Yeah,
but it's got those. It's basically got straps around it, metal straps around it, which make it look ugly. And now I'm like, well, I could command strip the fuck out of that thing and leave that right on the wall.
That one wouldn't be too bad to command strip. I would never command strip a fat PS3.
Oh no!
Or the Foreman Grill one. The Foreman Grill one would probably be a bad one to do too, because how that loads discs in.
Yeah,
but
it's a weird one.
Here we are, just tangenting on
rambling.
On how to mount a PS3.
Yeah, now that we're 4 hours into the podcast, everybody's gonna love this one.
Yeah, just did you get to the part? Dave's gonna be like, "Why were you guys talking about mounting old consoles?" Because Dave, we have too many of them, and there's not enough space for
and somebody wants to do it. Somebody out there is like, "You can do command strips. Get the right ones. Get the big ones that say they can hold up to 9 pounds, and then just go nuts."
Around my office, there's different command strip hat hooks that I use for headsets. I command strip them to my desk and to bookshelves and stuff, and they come in handy. Good
idea.
But are you playing anything else?
No, I'll stop there and let's just get into those questions. Let's do them. Come on.
Yeah. Let's
We've
hop into
gone this far.
Yeah. I was to say my playing and watching hasn't really changed over the last couple weeks. It's literally just been AEW, Fight Forever, Starship Troopers Extermination,
Is that
which
good? Oh wait, you were talking about that. Yeah.
it's in early
Okay.
access. I can't really
Yeah.
recommend it in its current phase, but like there's enough game there that I'm still going back to it being like, "Oh, they patched it. Let me go see if it's more stable."
Cool.
Because it's generic first person shooter, but the idea that you can like call down different like structures, like building out a base, kind of like Starhawk vibes to it, but not
Yeah.
quite as smooth as Starhawk was. So like it's scratching that itch because Starhawk is one of the best games that never had a chance. I still look back to that. Still hoping they rescue the servers for that, like they've done so many other PS3 games. But yeah, Starship Trooper Extermination, enjoying that enough that even though the frame rate is like all over the place, I'm still like, you know what? Let me play a couple rounds of that. And then Crash Team Rumble, which is something Chris was like surprised that I was still like playing that game. But I don't know. It's a podcast game for me. Crash Team Rumble. I'm just like, I have so many damn podcasts that I listen to, and I need to do something while I listen to a podcast. So Crash Team Rumble has definitely been that thing that I turn on and play a couple rounds of that, get through an episode of a podcast, and then move on.
That's good.
Yeah. Still don't know if that game is like a $30-$40 game. Like that, this seems like it should have been free to play, but like, hey, I like Crash enough, and the gameplay loop is entertaining. But that's pretty much it. So if you've listened to the last couple weeks, you know what I'm playing. Like Oxenfree 2 comes out this week, I believe, and that is the next game that I'm waiting for to jump into.
Yeah.
Which I might. It's coming to Netflix for free. I might just try to play it on my phone through Netflix just to see how that experience is. Because I played Shattered through Netflix because the Shattered Remastered came to Netflix first before it came to PlayStation.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So yeah. And it played okay, kind of, on the phone. Like I was definitely more excited to play Shattered on
ringing PS5. Endorsement.
Yeah. Play Shattered remastered on with a controller on a console. But like, hey, Netflix had it first, and I played it there.
All right.
Had the full soundtrack, so that's good. All right, let's hop into questions. We got a few here. First one's from Robert. Hi guys, question for the evening show. Do you think next gen will be digital only? Here in the UK, digital games are still vastly more expensive than physical. Once it goes fully digital, are you worried that pricing will get out of control as there is no competition?
I hate to say it, but it seems to be headed that way.
Yeah.
Like if you go into stores, there's less and less physical copies of anything.
The Targets around here are depressing. The amount of video games that are just that used to be there that aren't there anymore.
Yeah. Or even if you go down like the DVD and Blu-ray aisle, there's 4K Blu-rays out, but
there's
many
more
people
vinyl records
physically.
At Target than there are like Blu-rays.
And you know what? I won so much money off that because when we were seniors in high school and DVD or CDs were the big thing. One of my friends was like, 25 years, you're never going to be able to find an album. They're going to be so far gone. Nobody's going to have them anywhere. I was like, bullshit. I was like, they're going to be around for a long time. And he bet me a bunch of money. And guess what? CDs are gone.
Yeah, but
albums are still here.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I do worry about that, but the pricing. I'm not in Europe, so I don't know what it's like over there. That was the biggest concern when everything was shifting to digital initially here when PSN came along. But what we've seen, at least in the States, is that there are constant sales. Constant sales. So I'm not worried about the prices getting out of control if it's all digital only. There will always be sales because that always draws in a lot more dollars.
Yeah, especially as we get more live service sort of games, they're always trying to drive that price low, that entry fee in, so they can get you in all the other ways.
Yeah. 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 It might all go fully digital at some point.
I can. I
Maybe
still
next
feel we
gen.
have one more generation of
I think
physical.
so too, but like if you had asked me a year or two ago, I would have said, "Oh yeah, absolutely." Now, with what I'm seeing, I'm starting to think maybe we don't have another generation. I hope we do, but maybe we don't. The way things look.
I will. You know what? I'll say this: you'll get the next gen Nintendo consoles. At least the next two Nintendo generations will probably have physical. It's when you get to Xbox where they're like, no, we're streaming everything. And then you get the PlayStation of like, we're the market leader, so we don't need physical copies because people are going to be in our ecosystem. So I feel like those two are the most questionable, PlayStation and Xbox, whether they will do physical anything next gen. Nintendo will probably get a half gen before their real next gen, but I feel like Nintendo will probably be the company that holds on to physical copies the longest.
You
Uh,
think?
I just I feel like they're still old school enough that they would hold on to physical copies, especially they barely
Mm.
are a functioning online company.
Well, yeah, that's true.
You know,
I mean,
they did announce that the next Nintendo system will use your same Nintendo account because that is something that they have to announce because
I did hear that. Yeah.
they're fucking terrible at their infrastructure stuff.
But that's great. So that means you can bring your 97 different versions of AAA clock over to the next Switch.
That's what you think. Like, and we're like, no, it doesn't work because this is a three screen
Uh,
system or something. Or
that store is a fucking mess. All I do, I go in there, I every couple of weeks I go in, I skim down through the latest releases and I hit favorite,
no,
favorite,
same thing
favorite,
because
and then I just look at my favorites for what's on sale. That's my extent of the store.
like I would say like Nintendo's probably the best store in terms of having sales frequently that last a really long time.
Yeah.
Like I favorite everything on there. PlayStation, you know, they do like their sales, but I feel like they wait for big like sale events. Where Nintendo, mostly because that marketplace is so flooded, it seems like they constantly have gigantic sales. And I don't
Yeah.
even look at sales on Xbox because Game Pass. Like I don't.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't look at the Xbox store for
Why?
anything.
Yeah. Why would you buy anything?
And then
It's
yeah,
weird.
yeah, and then you know Steam. It's like you got your summer sale, you got your winter sale. You're good. Like you're not really rushing to buy new games on Steam because of how their sales system works.
So the one thing I've learned though with the Switch especially and favoriting all those things, there are several publishers who never ever ever do a sale, or if they do, it's on like 3 of the 18 games or
Mm-hmm.
25 games that I have favorited from them. And it just kills me. Every time I go in there, I'm like, nope, still not on sale. Never did a sale for that game ever. And I'm waiting. There's several games that I'm like, I don't want to pay full price. I want to get it on sale.
Especially some of those games that I do have favorited because I'm in the same boat as you. Some of them are just ports of stuff
Yeah,
that's on other systems, and I'm like, no, I'm not paying
exactly.
full price for this again, but I want to play it
Exactly.
on the Switch.
Yes. That's
So
exactly where I am.
yeah, I've been waiting. Oh god, there's so many games. It's like a lot of 2K games that are like that pop up, and I'm just like, I'm just waiting for that to go on sale,
Mm.
just so I could play them on the Switch. But yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah, I still think we're like a generation away from this being a problem, but I think it does vary from
Oh,
platform to platform.
yeah.
No, I mean,
I think Xbox. I think you're right that Xbox is going to be the first one
mhm.
that's going to say all digital,
Yeah, all digital,
and then yeah,
yeah, and then it'll be up to PlayStation to figure out if they want to also do that, and then Nintendo, I think, will be the longest, or at least
I think
Nintendo would just physically print their games. Like everyone else would end up being like, no, you're digital only, but our games.
actually I think now that we've excuse me, now that we've talked this out, I think I see it more clearly now. Xbox will be the first one to go all digital because of their
Game Pass and
whatever
cloud,
their
yeah.
Game Pass and all that. PlayStation will say, no, we're going to give you choice.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to hold on to that for at least another generation, saying, you you can choose to buy that disc
Jim Ryan
or
loves
get
to
the
say
digital.
for the gamers.
Yes.
Like,
And that's exactly what they're going to
Yeah.
do. They're going to do it almost out of spite at that point
yeah,
and say, and just to show that we give you gamers choice, we don't force you into a digital ecosystem 100%. You
yeah.
can still do whatever you want.
And Nintendo's going to make you earn Nintendo coins in order to get a physical
Mhm.
copy of something you already
Yeah.
bought. Like,
Yeah.
you have to send your Pop Tarts UPC codes to Nintendo for physical
Pain in my
copies.
ass. Yep.
All right, the next one from Stefan. What future games that were showcased this past summer are you looking forward to, and why? Have you been paying attention enough to all the stuff coming out, Mister? I don't watch trailers.
So yeah, funny thing is, I read that beforehand. And I was like, what was announced? And I had to go look, and I was like, oh no. Okay, I know two things that were announced, and I just one, I heard the name, I heard it was open world, I saw the key art, and that was it. And I was like, okay, I'm in. It's that Star Wars Outlaws.
Okay, yeah, that's from
That's
Massive,
all I know of it.
Division people. Yeah.
And the other one was Sonic Superstars. I know it's Sonic, and it's like, I think it's like a reimagining, and you can play all the different characters. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm in for that. Beyond that, fuck if I know. I have no idea what's coming out. And I'll see it when it shows up, and then I'll go, ooh, neat, and buy it or not,
Yeah, for me, like, it's the boring pick. It's Spider-Man 2. But honestly,
there you go.
they could have shown anything, and I would have
Mhm.
been like, yes, 100% on board. Like, as soon as they actually said, like, hey, you are going to be going to Queens this time. You're like,
Nice.
you are going to be
I didn't know that.
going to like Brooklyn, I believe. And it's just like, okay, cool. Let's see more of New York. Like, they could have shown anything, and I would have been like, yes, I'm buying it. Just give me a logo. Like, I don't need to see a trailer. Like, I will probably stop watching Spider-Man trailers at this point because I feel like they've shown enough. And like, they're doing a big panel for San Diego Comic-Con, I think, coming up, and I'm just like, nope, I don't need anything. I already know. We got Venom, we got Miles, Peter, we're good. Like, I'm fine. I'm on board 100%. Outside of that, I don't really know. Like, I saw a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm interested in Assassin's Creed Mirage because it's like an Assassin's Creed game that's not going to be a 100-hour RPG, and that give me a 15-20 hour Assassin's Creed game again.
That'd be cool.
I'm interested in that. But I don't know if I would say I'm like excited. I'm more just like, when it comes out, I'll pick it up, but I'm not like anticipating that release.
Yeah.
So the Spider-Man for me. Though Baldur's Gate 3, I heard you can fuck as a bear, or you can fuck a bear in that game. So like, I'm just now curious of like how that's gonna play out. Because that was going around, because I guess they were at like a convention and they showed like one of the romance cutscenes, and one of the people can like transform. So I'm like, okay, like I want to know what the fuck that game's doing.
What happened to hot coffee? Like,
We've gone so past hot
good
coffee.
God, man.
Yeah, so we'll see what's going on. Curry asks, Josh, have you played the Judgment series, and what are your thoughts about it?
Oh fuck! I own them.
Same.
I haven't
Yeah,
played them.
Same.
I haven't played them. I'm excited. It's when I bought them the moment they went on sale, like not like for sale. The moment they dropped in price a little bit, I was like, yes. I grabbed them. I was like, I got them. I'll get to them at some point. I don't know when, if ever, but I will. I plan to. I'm excited for them because I love Yakuza. Look, the Yakuza games. Even though I don't play those enough. And I've got all those every which way. I've got them all physical. I've got them all digital. It's ridiculous. Eventually, yes. That's all I can say.
And Curry, he only asked this because I keep putting it off. My excuse is I bought them on PS4 and then they had PS5 ports, and I'm just like, I don't want to play them on PS4 anymore, and they didn't have free upgrades. So one day.
Oh, well, for Judgment, yeah, I'm thinking Yakuza. I'm like, I got the PS2 versions of Yakuza and the PS3 and the PS4. Like every version they've got, I've got. I own them all. That's crazy. Stupid.
And knowing you're like, well, I got to play them on the PS2 so I can enjoy the upgrades that they got on the PS4.
I'll just go straight to the
Okay,
PS4.
you will actually jump
I'll go for
over.
the upgrades. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good with that.
The only one
Yeah.
that didn't get an upgrade is the zombie one, Dead Souls. So
Yeah, I'm all right
you will
with
have to
that.
bust out the PS3.
Yeah.
I bought that physically. I had to pay like $70 for a used copy of that game.
I think mine is still sealed. I'm sure it is.
Yeah. I mean, you could flip that one day, but I know you won't.
Well, I mean the zombie one I'm not big on, so maybe I will.
Might be worth it. All right. So Allie asks, Josh, thoughts on Futurama returning and Archer with its last season?
I did not know it was Archer's. Every season, I think, is Archer's last season. Honestly,
what season is it on? Like 18, 12? It's in
12 or
double digits,
13?
right? Yeah.
Like 13, I
Yeah.
think, maybe. But yeah, every season I have thought it was going to be their last one. So kind of bummed because every time they release, it feels like they're over too quick. It's only like 10 episodes every season, and I go through them so quickly. I'm like, oh, I want more. A little bummed about that. Futurama, obviously very excited. Stupid me. Yeah, here's where I made the big mistake. I saw, oh my gosh, Futurama's back, and there's a trailer. And I thought, okay, they're cool. They're just gonna say, it's just gonna be one of those funny, we're back, baby. Ha ha ha, just a goofy thing. And I started to watch it, and it started that way. And then I started seeing more and more. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I had to shut it off. I was like, fuck. Because they were showing all the funniest bits coming up this season. I was like, you jerks. Why? Like, why do you do that to me? So I've forgotten most of it already. So that's good. But
that's
yeah,
coming up soon. That's like this.
Is
month.
it really?
July 24th.
Oh shit. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm very excited. Because it's always the first one back is always fun. Because they always meta the hell out of it and make it goofy.
The fact that you're like the first one back, because literally, how many times has this been a thing from Futurama?
It's amazing.
Every time they come back from cancellation,
it is unreal that they're coming back. It's just, I love the show, and I love the fact that it will not die. It just will not die. It's amazing. So yeah, very excited for that.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know Futurama was coming back until I saw this question, and I was like, oh shit,
Did you
Futurama's coming back. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they had announced it like a year or two ago, and then they weren't paying enough.
DiMaggio,
and somebody was holding out.
That's the only thing I heard about. I didn't think it got past that, though.
I had forgotten about it because I remember that they settled all that, and then I completely forgot about it. And then I saw it pop up like, oh, they're back. And I'm like, oh, shit, that's back. Yeah, that's right. Cool. Nice.
Yeah, I didn't know it existed. I'm excited now I know it exists. And now it's coming in like 2 weeks. So
awesome. Yeah.
Right before Twisted Metal. So that my weekend sorted. All right. Last question from Grey Ghost 13 on Twitter. What are you collecting right now, Josh? Everyone knows what I'm collecting, and it's random Switch and PS3 stuff. But are you collecting actively right now, or are you ever not collecting? Doesn't have to be video games. It could be anything.
So you know what? And it's driving my wife nuts. Earlier this year, late last year, whenever it was, we were walking through the mall. And we walked by a Vans store, and I was like, "Holy shit, Vans!" And I'm showing them to Mason. I'm like, "I wore those when I was like in middle school. When I was your age, I was wearing Vans." And I walked in. I was like, "Let's go in." And I'm looking. I'm like, "Ooh, hey!" And those aren't that bad. And I bought a pair, and now I've bought like 12 pairs.
What Vans gets you is they're still affordable shoes.
Oh yeah, and they're on. I was telling because somebody was asking me about that when I was in Virginia last week, and I was like, look, every other week they're on sale.
Yeah, there's a buy one get 150 off, and yeah,
or they're like 30% off or 40% off. When I was down in Virginia, they were 65% off. I was like, but I'm running out of styles at this point.
Yeah.
I've got pretty much everyone I want. I want a pair of orange checks, and they don't make the orange checks at all, which is driving me nuts. I'm gonna have to do a custom pair, which is $100 fucking, and I don't want to do that.
But you
So I don't
gotta
know what to do. Eventually,
you flip that
because
Yakuza
even
Dead
those go on
Cells.
sale.
Yeah.
Like
You flip
I
Yakuza, get your checker
there you
customs,
go.
and you're good.
Yeah. So I wanted to I did a custom, and I did it only because I didn't end up buying it, but I did it only because the sale included the customs.
Hmm.
So that $100 custom pair was going to cost me $65. And I was like, that I can do. Absolutely. But the style wasn't the way I wanted it, and I couldn't quite get it the way I wanted it, so I just dropped it. But now I've realized that might be the only way to get my proper orange check fans.
I just imagine you going into the local mall and the van store. They just know you by name, like, "Oh, we got the good shit behind the counter for you, Josh." And you're just like, "Oh, cool."
Well, the funny thing is, like, I'll walk in. I went in there today because I bought a pair that looked orange online,
Hmm.
and when I got them, I'm like, those are red. They're
Damn.
fucking red. They're light red. They're not. I held it up to an orange shirt. I'm like, am I crazy? No, those are red. I held them up to my red, darker red Vans. I'm like, yeah, they're just light red.
Those
Fuck this.
teenagers think you have like the worst OCD in the world right now. Just like,
No, you know what? So today I actually returned them because I took them back to the store. I bought them online and I took them
mhm.
back to the store, and I was like, can I just swap these out for like a different pair? And I go back and she's like, yeah, what? And I'm looking and I'm looking. And she's like, oh, we got all these. I'm like, yeah, I have all those. That's kind of the problem. Like, I've got all these. And she's like, we get these returned all the time because everybody buys them online. Everybody thinks they look more orange when you look at them online, but when you get them, they realize they're not, and everybody returns them to the store. Um,
This is like a stack of red orange shoes just in their
yeah.
back room now.
Well, you know what's crazy? So they did not have anything that I wanted. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to the other van store, which is up the road, at the next mall. And I went up to the next one, and it was an outlet version of the van store. And they're all just in open boxes,
Yeah,
like
I've been
huge
to one of
size.
those, and I ended up
And
walking out with like three pairs of like random Vans shoes.
well, I'm digging through and I'm like, I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything. And then I found a pair that was like a maroon and a light blue. And I looked at it and I'm like, holy shit, it's the Phillies colors. It's the old Phillies uniform colors.
That ugly, ugly uniform.
Oh, I fucking love that uniform. The powder blue and the maroon. Oh, I grew up on that, man. I love it. So I bought it. I was like, I can't fucking believe this. So I swapped it out for those. And I come home and my wife's like, did you find the orange ones? I'm like, nobody has orange, but look what I got. And she's like, oh my gosh, those will go right with your Philly stuff. I was like, yep. And I put it on, I brought it down, and I'm holding it up and showing it to Mason. He's like, ooh,
I
nice.
thought Mason was gonna be like, "That's slightly off color. That isn't
No,
the same
he,
color."
he thought it looked cool. He's like, that's the
Mhm.
same thing. That's really cool. I was like, isn't that crazy? So yeah, that's my current crack, I think.
Okay.
As dumb as I've never been a shoe guy, but I love my Vans. They're just fucking comfortable and they're cool, and that's that.
And,
You
and
know?
and also it's not like a crazy, you're never gonna find like $300 Vans.
No,
Like
no.
they're always gonna be in that $100 and under range, except for
Oh
the
yeah.
customs.
All the ones that I buy are like $65
Yeah.
when they're not on sale.
Yeah.
So, but it drives my wife nuts because I do color coordinate. If
I
I'm
think the
wearing a
most
green shirt.
expensive Vans I've seen is I bought Sarah the Sailor Moon Vans that were out a couple months ago.
Mm, yeah.
Those I think were like 80, which is like the most
Okay.
expensive I've seen Vans, but they were like the special Sailor Moon edition ones.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but you're no Lego collections. I did show you. I got my Atari Lego set.
You
Uh,
did.
didn't build it. Just got it. Someone brother-in-law
I
works for Lego store. So he just
Nice.
gave me the display because I guess they raffle off the displays when they retire them to the employees.
Oh, that's cool.
No. And he didn't have room for it because he has so many other displays that he's won. So he's like, "Do you want an Atari?" And I was like, "What? Like, what do you mean? Do I want an Atari?" He's like, "Oh, I got a Lego Atari system." I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it. I've never played one, but now I got the Lego version."
There you go. Yeah, no, I have. Yeah, I still get all the Lego, but I have a Lego store in my closet,
Mm-hmm.
literally. Mason's birthday, I got him. I forget what I got him, but Zoe comes downstairs, and my wife goes, "Zoe went shopping in the Lego closet for Mason's birthday," and I went, "Wait, what? Like, what did she pick? Did she pick something that I do not want to open because you
Yeah.
know?" Um, but I'm good about getting two of things like that. One to open and one to eventually flip years down the road for a lot more money.
Yeah.
Because
Lego people are
Lego
crazy.
Lego is more valuable than it's a better investment than the stock market or gold. Literally.
I know things can get crazy price wise, but yeah.
There have been multiple articles about this in the past 20, 30 years that if you look at the price of a Lego versus stack it up to the stock market or the price of gold in terms of appreciation, Lego beats every single one of them every time.
You're just waiting for like the weird Mad Max apocalypse to happen, and then you're like, haha, I have the one currency people care about, Lego.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, she got him a nice little Star Wars one that was like a free one at some point, and I was like, cool, good job.
Yeah, he didn't
He's
pick
like,
the good ones.
well, she looked, and the funny thing is, for my birthday, I got the big box from her, and I'm like, so what did I get from the closet upstairs? And I started opening up, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's one I wanted too.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it was one of the ones that I got two of. It was the Van Gogh Starry Night.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably will build that and put that here on the shelf at some point. But yeah, I'm like out of room for building and putting up half these sets too.
I have like 3 or 4 sets that aren't built because I just don't have room for them. But because brother-in-law works for Lego store, he gets really good discount on them. So I have Lego
Mhm.
sets that I just can't build because I just don't have room. Also, I don't
Yeah.
have patience sometimes for some of the sets. Like some of the sets just have too many pieces, and I'm just like, that sounds like a job. Like
That's the best part though. It's zen. It is so relaxing
I
to
still
sit
haven't
and
built
just
this
build
thing.
Lego. Oh my gosh. Oh my, I still have that. Where
Yeah.
where do I have that?
I have
That's
the
in a
spiral
box
one. So what
somewhere.
I'm showing him is like the Lego knockoff micro blocks. One time me and Josh went to an event and they had Crash Bandicoot and Spyro blocks, and
Yes.
I just never built mine because it's these. This one seems more complicated than a Lego set because the pieces are so
They are.
small and
And
like
those things
layered.
suck.
Yeah.
They don't hold together right. I got one for what's that? Was it Tiny Tanks? There was a game with tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Um there's a
It's probably
bunch of
Tiny Tanks.
Japanese.
Tiny Tanks
It
probably
might
would
have
have
been
been one.
Tiny Tanks. Yeah. And they were giving those away. Same thing. And Mason was very young and he was into Lego and he was into tanks. And I said, well, let's build this. It didn't have half the parts you needed. And the instructions were garbage.
Yeah,
It was a
I
nightmare.
tried to build this little Crash
Oh,
Bandicoot one at one point, and then the instructions just they weren't great. And I was just like, it's just
yeah.
gonna be in a box forever. I don't know where the
Yeah.
Spyro one is though. Somewhere around
Yeah.
here.
I've got those. I've got those. They're in a box, put away. I never opened them because I know they're a nightmare to build.
Yeah, the Spyro one is still sealed. The Crash one is the one I attempted to make, and I just couldn't do
Mm,
it. Couldn't do it.
mm.
So when I see like the Spider-Man Lego set that I have, and it's like 2,000 pieces or something, I'm just like, oh no, I can't.
Wait, did you get the Daily Bugle? Daily
I would have
Bugle?
to look. I don't know exactly. It's in a box, in a box, in a box.
Oh, I want that.
Yeah.
Because we have the whole town. We have all these town sets, and they're all modular. They click
I was
together.
gonna say you were supposed to post a picture of that in our Discord at one point, but I don't know if you ever did.
Oh, I
So we
don't know
do
if I
have a
did.
Discord channel for collections stuff.
Okay,
So if you can
so
drop
maybe
that
I'll do that.
picture, yeah.
I gotta find it. But they did. the New York City Sanctum from Doctor Strange
Hmm.
as a modular, and Daily Bugle.
Yeah.
It's really tall, and they connect right into all the other, like the cinema house, the bank, the corner gas station, all those sets that they've done. They all connect together, and you can add those right
See,
in.
that's dangerous because you just need room for that sort of thing. And I just,
Oh my gosh, there's no room for that stuff.
no.
No room for that stuff. But they're amazing.
Yeah.
They're so much fun. We built that one little city, lasted about 6 months, and then it had to go away. Most of
Yeah.
it's up in Zoe's room, on top of a cabinet. So, yeah.
No. I eventually I have room to like build this stuff out, but there's like I have like the Overwatch sets, in some in boxes, some built, and it's just like I just don't have room for that. And also I don't like Overwatch anymore, so I'm just like but it's already built. I'm not gonna take it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all the questions we had for this week. And that's going to do it for this show because we're about 2 hours. I was expecting this to happen. But Josh, thanks for hopping on. We'll put your social stuff in the description, but everyone knows where to find you.
Yeah.
On Twitter, why Twitter still exists.
Well, yeah, fuck Twitter.
Yeah, but you're not going to Threads. I saw your Threads post. You're like,
no.
I made a Threads account just because I'm like, I need to play with it, but I'm not going to use it.
Well, don't ever delete it. It'll nuke your Instagram.
Yeah, I know. And I didn't realize that I made it a child account. Or not a child account, but like my personal Instagram is like the parent account, and then the DDG one, I guess, is like attached to that somehow. And I'm just like, cool. I thought I made a separate thing, but it's, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
but that's it for this week's show.
Go to Spoutable.
Yeah.
When they have an app, I'll be all over Spoutable. So go there.
I think I have an invite for Blue Sky. I just never set up an account.
Yeah. Blue Sky is going to be the same trash heap that Twitter is.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And Mastodon people already gave up on. That's going to do it for us this week. Next week, there'll possibly be a show. I don't know. If Dave says he needs another week, I might find another guest, or I might take the week off. I don't know, but we'll see what happens next week. But
come back. Well, I think we talked about everything here, so it'll be a much shorter show next week.
Next week would be like a half hour of just like, yep, we got some news, but then we'll find something. But thanks for listening, and don't be a dick.
Bye.